Alright guys, next part in the build, we'll be putting in the fire control selector detent spring, which goes into the buffer lock housing. This is the buffer lock pin and spring. We'll also be putting in the fire selector and the screw that holds it all together. I'm going to be using the upgrade part. I believe this is a WA or KA arms or King arms. This one has a steel pin up here. The stock one has a aluminum pot metal which can break, and which means that when you go to disassemble your firearm, the spring is just going to pop right out while you break it down. So first thing you're going to do, you'll follow the steps to assemble this. It's pretty easy. You usually just take the detents and the springs and put them in the respective places. It's pretty similar to the stock one, actually. Nothing really different there. You just got to be careful when dropping it in, because these springs are not really held in by anything. Especially this back one, they're held in when they're in the gun. So you just want to make sure you do this gently, or else if you knock it out, the spring can go flying. And these are very small springs and very small detents. So you're going to want to cant the receiver back a little bit so it sort of can just drop and fall into place. And once you do so, you're going to take the screw that comes with it. I'm going to use a new one from the kit. This is the stock one. The stock one, like I said earlier, this is the actual part that holds the buffer inside in the buffer spring. It's not steel. It's like aluminum or something, so it doesn't hold up well. You will need a Phillips screwdriver for this. This I think is the only screw that uses a Phillips screwdriver. So just let me get that. Make sure you hold this in place when you go to put this. Yep, there you go. A spring just fell out. So take this unit out. That's why when I said make sure you hold it tilting back is for a reason. So this small spring that right here, this small spring that's right there, doesn't fall forward, because that's held in by the fire selector, which right now is not even in the gun. So just hold it at an angle this way. You can see the pin right there. Hold it at an angle backwards, and then, oh right, I can't use the stock screw. I have to use the screw that came with it because it is a different thread. And now I have to search for that screw wherever it went. Wasn't this one? No, this one was for... If I lost that screw... Oh, it's right here. This is the bigger screw that comes with the King arms. It goes into the hole right below this angled bit, if I can show you. Get the light. It goes in this hole. This hole is an angled hole, which is for the pistol grip. So insert that into there. Okay. The screw is not holding. Did I break it? Let me take it out. I might have stripped the threads, maybe. Let's see why or how. Oh, forgot. This King's arm has a slot for an actual nut to go inside. Unlike the other housing, which just has a threaded hole, this one has a little space for a nut. So let me get this nut inside. I totally forgot about that. So yeah, make sure everything you hold it at a downward angle, so that way the springs don't fall out. Drop it in. Then you can go with this screw through the bottom. Start the threads by finger. Make sure you don't start it too hard, because it might you might strip the nut or the thread inside. Make sure everything's squared up. Just tighten down a little bit. I just say finger tight. Now make sure you keep it at this downward angle, because you still have that pin in there for the fire selector. So you can take the fire selector, you're gonna put it in. You're gonna turn it to sort of the gonna push down on the trigger and the full auto sears, so you can get this into place. Make sure everything is cocked. Now this is when having punches are useful to get inside of the hole to push the full auto sears down a little bit. So there we go. I was just pushing down on the full auto sears. Now you're gonna want to angle it so it goes on top of the little pin. So once that's there, you can just push it all the way through, like so. Boom. You have your fire selector. That's pretty much only held in by that metal detent. So there you go. So test out safe, pull the trigger, nothing happens. Flip it to semi, pull the trigger, hammer should go forward. Now keeping the trigger held on semi, bring the hammer all the way back. When you release the hammer, you should hear a clunk. Boom. That's good. Full auto we can't test right now because we don't have the full auto disconnect in. Now this is why I made this sort of a two-part on the trigger group, because the trigger group is a little finicky, kind of hard to do. To me, is actually the hardest part of the build. Now, here is the full auto disconnect right here. Now, let me get the stock one out. I believe the stock full auto trigger, full auto disconnect is pretty much the same. I mean, the RA Tech and the full auto disconnect for the GMP are pretty much the same. And they pretty much are. I don't think the RA Tech even comes with a full auto disconnect. I think you just use a pre-existing one. So yeah, this is the RA Tech, and this is the GMP full RA Tech. So they're pretty much the same. So I'm gonna use the new one actually, because it's new. I also need to use the new full auto disconnect spring and the new full auto disconnect pin. So yeah, so full auto disconnect spring. Well, this is the old one. The leg right there is bent. It should look straight. And the pin. Now this one is tough because the long leg goes on the side with the long leg on the disconnect. You gotta put it in upside down with the leg going up. Now, I'm gonna show you a trick on how to put this in. take the two smallest Allen keys you have. You're going to put the smallest one through this setup. Then you're going to want to rotate the spring so it gives it tension and push it all the way forward. Now this has tension now. This part of this leg of the spring has to go on this side of the full auto disconnect inside of here. The leg goes to the rear of the full auto, or of the fire selector. Now you also have to keep the spring tension on there. So what I do is I use the smallest Allen key I have. I'm gonna make sure I got everything lined up. Get this flashlight out again. Now you're gonna want to look inside and verify that everything is in place, which I messed up. There we go. Now, if I could show you, which I can't really show you, is that the spring is on the front part of the full auto selector, and then that the leg of the full auto disconnect is on to the rear of the fire selector. Now you're going to slowly pull the pin, slowly push down right above the hole. Slowly, very slowly, you're going to pull it out just so you can angle it down, push that Allen key through the hole. So now it's at an angle, if you can kind of tell. Now, this is why I said the smallest ones. If you use a bigger one, you will not be able to push this at an angle to where you can get the next biggest one, the next biggest Allen key in. So you're just going to work your way up through the Allen keys. This part is very difficult. I will not be surprised if this video is like 40 minutes long, because doing this is very, very tricky, and on camera it's even trickier, because what makes this hard to put in is that this spring in here is under a lot of pressure, so you can't exactly just drop it in and put the pin in, and you can't exactly just push down on the spring, because if you push down on the spring, it's gonna not be in place. So it's like you have to use a small pin or Allen key to get this in, and it's very difficult. Like, watch, I'm probably gonna mess up. I never ever can do this right on the first try. Oh wait, now be very careful, because you can get, with the smaller springs, you can actually fit two of the Allen keys into where the pin will go, or into the spring, because they're so thin. So once I get this pin all the way through this spring, it's only through the spring, it's not through the other side, I'm gonna pull out this one, and I messed it up. See, this is what I was talking about. This stuff you gotta be very gentle to put in. It's not impossible. Like I said, well, not like I said, if it was impossible, I don't know, they would not have this system in. So there we go. Actually helps if you have the hammer forward. Gives you a little more room to work inside. Maybe I can even show you. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there's no way I can show you that right now. If I tried to show you, I'd probably mess this up. See, I don't understand how G&P thinks that people who buy this kit who are not experienced can do this. It has been done. My friend built one of these kits. He had no experience with real firearms or gas blowbacks, so he didn't know how to do any of this. I had to help him out a little bit over the phone. I wasn't even with him, and he was able to actually do it. Pretty impressed. So try pull this pin out slowly, which is hard because it's under pressure, so it's kind of hard to pull out. But you want to do this slowly. And this man, this stuff is very hard. All right, let me see if I can get this one in. There we go. This is very hard to do. There's a lot of working with the pressure and trying to line everything up, because this spring just wants to jump out. As soon as you start moving the pin through and pulling a pin out, it just wants to jump out. There's no real easy way of doing this. It's all, well, there might be an easy way of doing this, but I don't know it. Now I got this bigger one all the way through. I can't really show you. It's all the way through this whole system. It's just not through this pinhole because this one is still in there. There we go. Boom. Now, you're gonna be like, sweet, let me put the pin in now. Here's a trick. Keep working your way up to bigger and bigger Allen keys. You're not going to want to just go from a small Allen key to the pin that you need to use, because it's just a recipe. Nothing is actually going to be truly lined up, and that's the key to this piece, is that when you put the pin in, everything has to be lined up. Everything. Nope. I'm sorry I can't get a lot of this in camera because it's just hard enough to do without trying to film it. Just trying to get as much as I can on camera. Nope, I'm so close there. Nope. There we go. It's just really difficult trying to get the pins through, or the Allen keys through the spring, because the spring wants to just move around everywhere because it's under quite a bit of, there we go, it's under quite a bit of pressure. Now, can I go a size bigger an Allen key? I think I can. This is the trick. It's just be patient, take your time. Especially with the full auto disconnect, you're gonna spend a lot of time with this piece. But that's the trick. If you spend your time and take your time, you're not gonna be doing it over and over and over. You're just gonna be doing it slowly. Boom. Now that's the biggest Allen key I can get into there. So now we're gonna take the pin and we're gonna put it in. Finally, I'm gonna put the pin in. Now I know you're supposed to put pins in left to right and all that. Listen up, this is an airsoft gun. I've done pins so many different ways. I want to say it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure it does matter. But look, this is an airsoft gun. I'm probably, now like I was doing with the trigger and the sears, is to not let the Allen key or the punch or whatever you're using fall right away. You want it to be pushing. You want the pin that you're putting in to be pushing the Allen, pushing the key. Now, come on. No, I just pushed the pin out. That wasn't what I was trying to do. I'm really trying to get this on camera. It's just really, nope. See, this is really difficult. I just dropped the pin onto the floor. Alright. Push this through. Oh my god. This is probably the quickest I've ever done this. I am not even lying to you. This is probably the quickest I ever put the full auto disconnect in here. It's a little bit sticky. It should just go to the rear. Wow, that was the quickest I've ever done that. Get the punch, just punch it in a little bit more. It's weird. Let me get the, that's why you sometimes need the flat head. It's just to get pieces properly aligned in there. There we go. Actually, that's... There we go. That's working its way out by itself. Let me use... Is this the right one? Yeah. I'm just going to put this stock full auto disconnect pin in. Well, I'm sorry, the old one. I think something's a little messed up with this new one. There we go. There we go. That's a lot better. Yeah, let me take a look at this pin that I just put. I don't know if you can be able to tell. There's a part right here. It's a little marred up, chewed up metal. Like I said, it's very tight tolerances. I guess this pin was a little chewed up and it caused some binding. But there we go. Now, the test of full auto. Put on, or the 3-round burst in this case. Put on 3-round burst. Pull the trigger. Bring it back. Push this. Boom, 1. Well, technically it's the second shot. So 1, 2, 3. And on the 4th shot, nothing. So 1, 2, 3. All right, let's try it again. 1, 2, 2. I didn't get 2-round burst. 1. Oh, you know what? Counted it wrong. That's why. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, I might need a new hammer. This one's this one's not quite working. 1, 2, 3, 4, or technically no 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Huh. That's weird. It'll still work and everything. I don't really use actual full auto. I don't even really use 3-round burst that much. I think it's just because the tolerances and the little ratchet system on the hammer are loose. I just think I need a new hammer. 1, 2. See, look, 1. Now watch. It's gonna do 3 rounds. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 2 rounds. 1, 2, 3. Or nope, no third. 1, 2, 3. Boom. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Or nope, just 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So I guess it's like finicky. It is a very old trigger group, so, and like you saw with the wobble on the hammer in the first video, but that's fine. If it's just a hammer issue, that should be pretty easy to fix. Right around 30. So yeah, this is pretty much the whole trigger assembly, 2 parts. Next will be putting in the bolt lock / magazine release system, which goes in here.